ठीक है और
आप सर से डिटेल्स अवेलेबल है तो इंट्रोड्यूस
वीडियो नहीं दिख रहा Ratan sir, are we ready? Can we start? Ratan sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Professor. I am there very much. So if you feel it, if you are ready, I'm okay.
Ratan sir, you're muted.
Oh, I'm all right. Is the voice not clear? Is the voice not okay?
Sir, you need to unmute yourself.
No, I have done it. Yeah. Is it clear?
Sir is muted.
It's all right with me.
Okay, okay. Yes, sir.
Are you getting me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's all right with me.
Yeah, we'll just start the webinar. I was just confirming. All right. So, good afternoon, everyone. We are honored to have here with us Dr. Ratan Sharma. He has about 40 years of experience in the education sector. In fact, he's an alumnus of SRCC Delhi University. And then he began his career with he's worked with many prestigious institutes. He has been the founding professor at IIM Lucknow. He has also worked with MDI Gurgaon. He has been the director of Center of Family Managed Business at SPJN Institute of Management and Research, Mumbai. Dr. Ratan Sharma has also been the director of the Administrative Staff College of India in Hyderabad. As of now, he is the emeritus professor at Delhi School of Business. He handles courses on finance and accounting. He has also, he's a professional trainer. He conducts short duration programs. He's conducted a lot of programs for the government and private sectors. And essentially, he does programs for executives where he helps sharpen their management skills. He has to his credit, about 200 short duration programs which he has conducted. So we are very honored to have Dr. Ratan Sharma here with us. And thank you, sir, for sparing your valuable time. And he is going to address all of you on the need for management in the contemporary world. Dr. Ratan Sharma, over to you.
Right. Thank you very much, Professor Nirja. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for sharing thoughts relating to the management education. I'm sure my voice is clear to everyone. Is it all right? My voice.
Yes, sir. We can hear you. Yeah.
All right. So just a minor correction. I was not director with Administrative Staff College of India. In fact, from Delhi University, I went to ASCII. I was a trainer there, and I did as a faculty. I was there. I was, of course, a senior one, but that is what. Just for a correction, because you are recording it, so I thought that I should put the record straight. Should not be in a very different way. I'm, of course, extremely lucky that I have been in the management education for the last many years, rather many decades or so. And since I have been associated with a number of institutes of management, therefore, I've learned in hard way and, of course, in a very practical way what the management education is all about. So I'll be sharing my thoughts today as to what management education is all about, particularly in the context of the contemporary world. So I'm sure the students who are present here and those who are present, I'm sure they will, if they have any questions, they can always ask me and they can stop. There's absolutely no issue from that. So it should not be remaining a a one-sided affair that I'm only talking and you people are not really responding. So please feel free. First of all, I think, is it all right with everyone? Nirja, is it okay that I start? We can have any question answer if there is any,
Yes,
right?
sir. First, we can do the session and then we'll do the Q&A.
So, all right, whichever way you feel, whatever your format is. So let me begin. In fact, the very first thing, as the topic suggested by Professor Nirja and her team, is that we should talk about the relevance of management education in the world, which is very contemporary. So let us try to see as to what is the world which is called contemporary world we are talking about. Now, this world, I'm sure you are all aware. You must have heard about those terms because in India, we are really talking about those. And this is a term which most of the students now of management really talk, or world of VUCA or VUSA, whichever way you want to pronounce it. uh, VUCA. Now, this is a word which we are using for the last 15 to 20 years, in fact, in different contexts. But I think that is what we are witnessing it today. V refers to the volatile world. World is very, very volatile. And that is what it seems to be happening in as of today. So volatility is one very important factor that we are really witnessing. And that is what seems to be the characteristics of the world we are facing today. Second refers to the and any alphabet U, WUSA or VUCA. U refers to the uncertainty. We do not know what sort of a thing is going to come. We were not sure what is going to happen really. For example, COVID is one such example. And also in the business situations, many things happen where we are not sure or we are not certain. And C refers to the complexity. Complexity is something which we say that it's not a very simple way to understand anything. It's very complex. There are many dimensions. So from that point of view, it's a very lot of complexity in the world that we are really talking about. And fourth, which is the last, which we say, this is called ambiguity, which means it's very difficult really to have a meaning out of it. It's difficult to interpret what certain events will refer to. Same event can be looked at in a very different way. Some people will say it's very positive, others may say it's very negative, others may still refer to that, okay, we do not know, it's very indifferent. So that's why the word we are referring to, the management jargon, of course, we use it, but that is the practical world in the contemporary situation happening called VUCA world. And that is what is very important for every one of us, those who are taking admissions, in fact, or those who are really working in the business should be aware of. Second thing which happening is, and which I'm sure you must have heard in the newspapers, called Industrial Revolution 4.0. I think most of the people are aware what really I'm referring to. There have been a change, or rather evolution has taken place in the industry structure. We are in from 1, 2, 3, and now the fourth one, which is a very drastic change in the industry structure and the way industry is functioning is taking place. This is what we refer to Industrial Revolution 4.0. In fact, everybody talks about it. Those who are informed, they know it, but I thought I should make this point here for every one of you that this is another thing which is happening in the contemporary world. Third thing which seems to be happening is the globalization. Now, globalization is, I'm sure you are once again aware, we do not know, we do not make a difference between whether it's an Indian company or a foreign company, whether US company or European company. And therefore, a US company can come here in India and Indian company can go to US. So there's a lot of interface happening, in fact, in the company, in the world over. And therefore, we say world is become a small village. Is a simple global village. This is what we are talking about. Many of the things which are happening, there's a lot of interaction which is taking place here. So globalization is another thing which seems to be the order of the day in a way, I should say it. So I'm not talking about what really other things are, but these are the things which, as a student of management, we should be very much concerned and we should be knowing about that globalization which is there. Another thing which seems to be the characteristics of this world is that earlier the government was taking a lot of role. I'm sure you may be aware, and this is very important in this present context. Russian and Chinese, they were more in the government, was a public sector oriented industrial structure which was being developed over a period of time. Now what seems to be happening is there's a privatization happening, which means private business people in the that is being coming, and therefore they have a very different thing altogether. Now, these are some of the characteristics when we have a private players playing in the field, in the business field in particular. Naturally, their orientation is very different than the public sector or the government sector. So that's what we should be remembering, that privatization is really coming forth. We all should also get into that market is very important. Some of you, those who have done from BCom or BBA, must have understood what we refers to an economist called the father as Adam Smith. Adam Smith said it, that market is very determining factor. Market is something which is very important. Why he refers to invisible hand. So a hand which is invisible, which is not seen, which is not visible in the situation. So market plays a very important role today. So this world which we are talking about, the contemporary, wherein market forces are really very aggressively pushing forward various things in a different directions. We do not know which direction they will be moving. So market forces are in the things which are happening. And with the result, what seems to be happening is to us and to every one of you, that person who is called a customer, customer is at the top. He decides what you should try to do it. I remember during my Shriram College days, we used to study what to produce, how to produce, when to produce, etc., where to produce, being decided by some people or maybe the government when it was a licensed Raj. Today, customer decides as to how we should try to get into that part of thing, when to produce, how to produce, where to produce, etc., and what to produce in particular. So customer is at the top today. Now, that is the world we are really talking about. I hope you agree. This is the world we are really taking. Now, then we got another thing which has happened last year, which we never thought or imagined, called COVID-19, which has really resulted into a whole lot of things. For example, not only the nature of work has changed, workers have changed. Everything, in fact, is really changed in this. Work from home, we never really bothered. We never bothered about the technology, which has been so important today, which was earlier not so being taken as that relevant, but it was there very much. So that has really been there. So this is the type of a world really we are talking about when we talk about the management education in the context of the contemporary world. Once it is all right with you that this is the contemporary world which we are talking, now what is this management education? Can you face this world? How to do it? Now that is an issue. That issue is very, very relevant today. This world cannot be faced by simple that you do not know anything at all. Ignorance was a bliss once upon a time, it was said, not today. Ignorance is not a bliss at all. You have to know, in fact, the knowledge. You have to know the areas. You may not be an expert in that area, but then you have to know it. So that's the reason as to why knowledge is very crucial. So management education, in fact, prepares you to face this world, which is highly challenging. And these are the characteristics of the world which you must, I mentioned it to you, which are not simple characteristics I mentioned to you for a bookish point of view. I mentioned this is happening day in, day out. This is happening, you can't close your eyes that these things are not there. Industrial revolution is taking place, you can't close your eyes. Globalization is taking place, you can't close your eyes. Likewise, VUCA characteristics, they are taking place, you can't close your eyes. Now, you may decide to ignore them, sure, at your own danger, at your own peril. But would you like to take this much of a risk? And that's why the concept, this is where we are talking about the relevance of the management education. So I would now present to you as to why management education is important. Because if you want to face this world, you need really to get into management education. I must mention here, during my, this is wherever during my work here during the management education field for the last many, many years, management education is an applied discipline. And there are some students who feel it is theoretical, not at all. It is highly practical, application-oriented discipline. It is not a subjective one, it is a discipline. Discipline refers to when you apply certain things. If at all you want to compare management, compare this with medicine, compare this with law. For example, a good lawyer does not mean he will be or she will be able to win the case in the court of law. It does not happen. You have to practice this. You have to apply the knowledge of law in the field in order to win in the real life. Same thing about the doctor. You may be MBBS, you may be MD, or any branch of, for example, your medicine. It does not mean you have become a very successful doctor. Now, which means you need really to have a practical hands-on experience what you do it. Same thing happening with the management. Management, therefore, is an applied discipline. It is not something which remains in the books, whatever books you really read. So you have to really apply it. So number one part is management is an applied discipline. It needs to be practical, and that is very important for every one of you, which is what you should be doing. Now, how you get this practical knowledge, we'll discuss later. But what I'm saying is, first part is management is an applied discipline. Now, I'm referring to how education, management education, how you really try relevant for the contemporary world. Now, management education contemporary world is that you need really to have something in the management education. What it provides, number one, it provides you knowledge. Without knowledge about the world, you cannot really try to face the world. Very simple, as somebody said it. If you want to create history, you have to read history. Simple. If you don't read history, you can't really create history. Therefore, first read history. Therefore, read what the world is all about. Study the world, understand the world, and knowledge about the world. And this knowledge is being provided by management education. When we take about these characteristics I mentioned, industrial revolution, globalization, this refers to some of the functional areas of management. For example, how you try to want to have a finance funds, how want to raise funds from the market, whether it's a global market or a domestic market. You must know which market we are talking about. Now, knowledge about those markets are very essential. Likewise, for marketing, which market segments you will try to be cater to, and that's what you should be doing it. Should you be going to the developed market like US, Europe, or else you should be going to, say, the African markets, or even within the national boundaries, which market you should be trying to know. So the point I'm referring is knowledge becomes very, very crucial to face this contemporary world, which management education provides. Very simple. So the knowledge I'm referring to refers to, number one, the domain knowledge. Domain knowledge is about the subject you study, the discipline you study, or the sub-disciplines you study in the case of the management. You must know that. You must know what sort of a market is there, what is the nature of the market, how much size is the market, and so on. So how to approach this market, and so on. So domain knowledge is a very important part, and of which management education helps you to provide, in fact, in this context. Second part of the knowledge, which is important, is the business knowledge. Now, we are all a part of somehow connected with business. Somehow, it doesn't matter whether we want to do a job in the business, we want to do that, or else there's a possibility that we want to be on our own. We want to be an entrepreneur. Now, if we want to be an entrepreneur, surely again we are connected with business, because business is nothing but having an activity which is economic in nature, financial in nature, to put it in a very different context. So without business, I don't think we are able to satisfy the needs of the society. Now, that being the case, then it's very simple, therefore. We are connected with the business. So first part, domain knowledge. Second is, we are referring to business knowledge. Anyone who wants to be successful in life cannot remain aloof to without the knowledge of the business. About the business, they should know what sort of a business knowledge they are seeking. So type of business knowledge, which means which industry they belong to, which products they want to get into, what type of things happening in the industry. So it's all about the business knowledge we should be concerned with. Third thing about the knowledge is that every student of management must know about the general aspects of the knowledge. I mean, you remember that even US, when the Trump has changed to the Biden, I think this is a change in the policy. Surely policy matters, but the men behind the policy also matter. Rather matter sometimes more. What emphasis will be having it. So general knowledge becomes equally important, many times more important. Having only domain knowledge, you may be an expert in the field, certain areas, fair enough, possible. But would you be also knowing about how the general knowledge is there, who the people behind are? So those issues become important. So when we talk of management education and we want to face in the context of the contemporary world of what I mentioned, there is so much technology being used today, we should be knowing as to what sort of a knowledge we are having it. So three types of knowledge, I mentioned it. Domain knowledge, we have business knowledge, and also relating to general knowledge. So this is what being provided by the management education that we are really talking about. Second thing is about the skill set. You know the knowledge, but you don't know how really to really. Mere knowledge is not sufficient. You need to have skill set. Which type of skills you have it? For example, you must analyze. Information is there. There was already a lot of information. I'm sure you will be able to search through Google. A lot of information will be available to every one of you, but does it mean that you will be able to really take a wise decision? No, you cannot, unless until you try to differentiate between information which is an irrelevant one, which is important one, and also which is something which is not so. So you try to analyze the information. And when you analyze information, analytical ability becomes very important for you. So this ability, which is what I'm not getting into the theoretical part of it as to what we refer to it, analyze. And this analytical ability is very, very crucial, in fact, from that point of view. Second thing about the what we say the skill set which we really look for is not only you should be having that analysis part, but also you should be able to synthesize. You divide, for example, you have a problem to solve, and I'm sure in the grammar you must have seen analysis and synthesis. Analysis refers to you divide a particular problem into parts, and you understand what is this problem, because to understand a problem you divide that into parts so that you are able to understand it better. It's important. But later on you synthesize it also, because ultimately you can't say that you only bushes are there, trees are there, plants are there. You have to ultimately see this the forest, the big picture. So synthesis has to take place. So what really happens is you do analysis, analytical ability. You should also be able to synthesize. Once you are able to see the big picture also, along with the picture which are in parts, which is very crucial. And then another, of course, there are many, but I will say problem solving, which I refer to it. Skill set, of course, are many. Likewise, communication skills, your team building skills, etc. I mean, these are some of the skills. Likewise, there are many. In fact, we can talk about it. But if you ask me questions, I'll be able to really refer to it. But I'm, as of now, mentioning that skill set required, a particular type of skill set to face this problem, the world which we are really facing about it. Third thing is about the attitude part of it, which is very crucial. You are this important framework of attitude. What type of thinking you got it? Positive attitude, negative attitude, problem-solving attitude. What sort of attitude you got it? And that is what is another thing important. And finally, I must say, they are the value systems and ethics and the ethos of the context we are talking about. Value system, ethics, and ethos of the context we talk about. If we talk of India, we talk of Indian ethos. If we talk of US, we talk of US ethos. I mean, you cannot be, if you want to be in Rome, you have to be Roman. You can't be American in the Rome. If you want to be in India, you have to behave like an Indian. You can't behave like an American. Very simple as that. There's nothing, a simple logic. I think it's a common sense. And that's why what happens, all the companies which are coming from America or outside India have to be a good corporate citizen, and which you should know it. That's the ethos of a particular country has to be there. Likewise, Indian companies going abroad has to follow their ethos. They can't really say, look, I'm still Indian. I mean, you are remaining Indian, may remain in heart, but in practice, you have to follow the rules, the process, and the procedures which that country follows. And this is very, very crucial, very, very important. So these four things are important to face the world we are really talking about. Now, very simple, therefore, management education provides you simple knowledge of certain types, skill set of these nature, the attitudes that you are having of that, value system, ethos, and the ethics. And remember, today, ethics are very important. If you see the United Nations reports or many other agencies' reports, many countries, including India, they are at the bottom, or I think, if not exactly at the bottom, but their ranking is very low in terms of many of those things which are happening in ethics. So people by nature, they're ethical, and they would like companies to be ethical. Now, if suppose you don't behave in that manner, things happen in very drastically in a different fashion. People don't like it. Management education that we provide and provides these things. Um, for example, knowledge of certain domains, I'm sure, which is what in different aspects we provide, skill set we provide. We try to get it in the attitude part, and same thing which is happening in the values, ethics, and ethos part of it. So that you can really try to prepare for the world in a better way and be successful. So this was one part which I'm sure if you have questions, you can always ask me as to what is being provided. Since there are not many, probably, Nirja, I don't think there's a large audience. They can ask me questions.
Yeah.
So,
So if anyone would like to, raise a question, you can put it in the chat box. Anything, then I'll put it across to Sir. Or you could, if you want to raise your hand or something, then I can sort of, or anything that you want to put in the chat box, any question and answer. Students, anything that you need to ask? All right. So I don't see anyone. Students, Nandini, Parul, anyone wants to ask any question? You can put it in the chat box or raise your hand. I can see a few students here. Okay.
all right.
So sir, I think there are no more questions coming from the side.
All right, then let me raise question myself as to
Yeah.
what things, right? Maybe for the benefit of those who are present here. You may be wondering, I'm sure Professor Nirja might have really tried to convince you as to management education. This is broadly a structure which is there. Since you don't have a question, it's okay. I assume you agree to what I'm saying, number one. You may say you have taken admission, some of you and all of you have taken admission in DSP. Then why DSP? Are you sure about the DSP part of it? Though it is not a area where I think I should get into, but still, DSP is a very uniquely placed institution, very uniquely placed institutions with a good amount of faculty drawn from different IM setups. I'm sure by this time Nirja has mentioned, Mr. Siddharth has also mentioned it. So they are doing very good job in terms of providing all the structure which I mentioned to you. So that way, I think we are getting into that. I did not mention to you that curriculum part, the pedagogy part, etc. of how you should try to get into. Any institution is good framework I developed. In fact, this is what everybody will say. It's knowledge, attitudes, and skills and values. Question how you deliver it. And that's what differentiate one institution with another institution. More so. For example, which type of knowledge you deliver. Now, I know it in setups of IM even business schools are trying really try to give the students what the industry look for. They are helping, in fact. But there's always, sometimes there's a gap between what the industry expects and what the business schools are trying to provide. At DSB, what we normally do is we have a good interaction with the industry people, and therefore try really to understand as to what are their requirements. And therefore, we try to incorporate those requirements in our curriculum in different courses. And therefore, we try to be with the industry, what the industry requirements are. So this is one part, which is what I always liked it, that we have been interacting with industry. In fact, during the COVID time, we had interaction in different functional areas of management like marketing, finance, quantitatives, HR, in these areas from industry. And there were not 1 or 2%, there were 6, 7, 8 people online, of course. They were helping us, and they were a part of this curriculum revision that we have it. And now we are trying to incorporate that revision part. What they suggested is possible in the case of providing inputs to our students in this context. So that's what normally we are just trying to do. So that way, I think DSP is in touch with the industry requirements. They are in touch with the practice. That's what seems to be happening. Second thing is in DSP, which I'm sure you will realize it later, is one thing called experiential learning. Experiential learning is you experience yourself what is happening. Not that somebody will tell you, you experience yourself, which means students are themselves are the central figure of process of learning. They learn themselves, they experience themselves. For example, if I say that honesty is the best policy, then maybe when you become honest and you become, yes, I think it's the best policy, it gives you rewards, somebody appreciates you, you then realize, yes, honesty is really the best policy. You don't believe in what I'm saying as a Dr. Sharma, you believe in what really you have experienced it. And that's what we try as a faculty group. We try really to have the experiential learning process adopted in all the courses, most of the courses, in fact, so that students can feel and internalize it. I mean, not cramming it. Ratta nahi hai. I don't think I'm talking about rattaification. I'm talking about you internalize it in your heart and mind and soul. You feel, yeah, I think this is what is to be done. So it's not something what the teacher has taught you, but something which you realize is the best policy. Of course, we are open as a faculty group that we get to. So this makes a very different thing altogether. Apart from one of the best infrastructure, the facilities, etc., and all that, which I'm sure you must have visited, you must have seen that part of it in some of you, and that's what seems to be happening. So that's the reason as to why DSP is, I think, is an institution, is a destination, which you got it. I'm sure you will convince your other friends also to be a part also of this DSP, DSP as an institution, be a part of it. This was about DSP. A few things I will also mention, Professor Nirja, because these things are, again, I'm raising questions to myself because it's from the students' point of view. Many times it happens as people say, I mean, students, should I do management or should I do job? Now, there's a different, So they start feeling, Baba, why to do this study and why not this? This is one. Many times it happens is during the COVID times in particular, they start feeling it, this nothing is, industry is, what is happening is, why should I get into this, something of that, So these are other things which are, I mean, it happens. It's a very normal, genuine questions which happen. Now, I would like to tell every one of you present here, everyone for that matter, destiny helps those who are prepared. If you believe in destiny, and we all believe, whether we admit or don't admit. I mean, we say, I don't believe it, but still I believe. For example, I believe it, I don't say so. But destiny prefers and always helps those who are well prepared. You have to be prepared to take advantage of destiny. Destiny provides you opportunities. When, we do not know. When the opportunity will come, we do not know. But are we prepared to grab that opportunity and trying to be making it fruitful? And there's one part which I would like to mention to everyone. COVID has provided us a situation wherein we have to prepare ourselves fully for the things which are going to come after COVID. Remember, world will not remain the same which was during the COVID time. It will bounce back with much more force than what we any time could have imagined. होता है ना कई बार कि you start feeling it, अरे छोड़ो क्या करना है, and you take rest, and then you start doing it, you do it much more force. Same thing going to happen with any economy the world over, I should say, whether it's American, European, or Indian. And that's what you must have seen. Lockdown was over, and we started really bubbling with energy to really do something which is outside. We were locked down. हम लोग घर पर थे. We were there at home. But once the lockdown was over, we went out. Of course, result ये रहा कि अब दोबारा lockdown होने वाला है. Well, a lot of corona cases. Because then our, enthusiasm is so much, we forgot कि there is a corona. We forgot this part. तो ऐसे economy में होने वाला है. Economy is going to bounce back in such a way where you find yourself that there are people not available and there are jobs there. There are opportunities where there are not people to grab them. Are you ready? And that's what my question therefore is. Get ready for the opportunity. Do your management, which is essential. And once you do that, you will be facing this situation, getting this situation where you find it, yes, I think it's fantastic. Grab it, exploit it, and then you reach the success. So this is one, I thought this is the time for you, don't miss it. Because if you miss it, you will be lagging behind by 1 year or 2 years. I mean, there another might happen. Some हम job करने पहले इसके बाद में हम पढ़ लेंगे. You can do it, sure, why not? You can do, after choice is yours. But if you do it, you are lagging behind by 1 year. I think otherwise what will happen is you will be there. And therefore, whenever opportunity will be there, you will be able to grab it. Remember always, आप engineer हैं, scientist हैं, anybody for that matter. Management is the most essential characteristic or the qualification which everybody has to have it. It's a basic thing, in fact, let me put it. It's in everything. If you are a doctor, you can remain a doctor, sure. You can be a specialist, surgeon बन सकते हो, सब कुछ हो सकता है. But if you want to start a, let's suppose, a hospital, you need to manage the health services. Right? So it's nothing like that I'm a doctor, सब मुझे क्या जरूरत है MBA करने का. No. If you want to have it, you can do it. Same way engineers. You can be engineer, you in your own domain. करते रहो, coding करते रहो, आराम से कुछ instrument बनाते रहो. But if you want really to have that to be a part of the business, you need the skill of management. Very important. So which means simple. If you want to be a lawyer, you can do LLB, sure, practice law. Nobody stops you. But you will be individual. If you are a lawyer as a group, जैसे बहुत सारे companies हैं, उनके अंदर एक law advocate नहीं है, बहुत सारे लोग हैं. So they manage all that. So in fact, that is also required. And managerial skills, how to deal with people, what are the team building skills they have it, how are interpersonal skills they have it. So point I'm making is, any sphere of activity that you adopt, if you are a loner, you want to do individual, you can surely do it. I'm sure I'm nothing that way. I mean, I don't think I will add anything at all. I want to be alone, fair enough, do it. कर सकते हो. जैसे होता है ना, I want to be a sadhu, I want to have a sannyasi. You can be a sannyasi. Nobody will stop you. सन्यासी बनो. लेकिन सन्यासी as an organization बनाना है, आश्रम बनाना है, तो manage करना पड़ेगा. Even in the field of religious, you have so much of groups where you have to manage it. उसके लिए managerial skills की आवश्यकता है. तो जितना जल्दी आप skills लेंगे, better internalize करेंगे, you will be able to do much faster. So I'm giving you a choice how you can do it. You can always get into that. That's the reason as to why many times questions do come in the mind of the students. Sir, पहले ही हम कर लेते हैं ये, बाद में कर लेंगे, etc., etc. So those type of things can also be there. Third thing, many times students and आजकल पूछ रहे हैं, because I have been really giving webinar to many other places also. Sir, online teaching में मजा नहीं आ रहा है, offline में मजा नहीं आ रहा है. क्या करें? सब बड़ा दुखी हैं. All right, this is fair. But this is called new normal. This is called new world. Frankly, and I admit, I'm sure many people like me will admit, हमने कभी online teaching नहीं किया पहले. I have not taught online. I learned how to teach during the COVID time. In fact, we started learning Zoom पे कैसे पढ़ाना है, Team में कैसे पढ़ाना है, Meet में कैसे पढ़ाना है. There were many mistakes we committed, but still now we are comfortable. We have got an email use or telephone use or that sort of a thing. Why we realize it? COVID का क्या पता कितने दिन रहेगा? इसका मतलब है जिंदगी स्टॉप हो जाएगी. इसका मतलब है घर पे बैठे रहें, आराम से रजाई ओढ़ के सो जाएं या कंबल ओढ़ के या जो भी कुछ है मतलब लेके सो जाएं आराम से. Is that so? या हम कुछ काम करें. काम करेंगे तो नई चीजें सीखनी पड़ेंगी क्योंकि नया कॉन्टेक्स्ट है. इसको ना आप बदल सकते ना मैं बदल सकता. You can't change it, I can't change it. You have to live in the new world. And new world is not for me or you alone, not in India alone. It is everywhere all over the globe. दुनिया की हर कोने में, including some of the best countries that we talk of like America, Europe or China or Asia, Japan, anything. सबको यही करना है. तो यदि हमें सबको करना है तो फिर जल्दी क्यों नहीं अडॉप्ट करते? भाई क्रिब काहे को रोना काहे को? आपको मालूम है इसके अलावा अल्टरनेटिव नहीं है तो अडॉप्ट करो तो फिर चालू कर दो ना काम. Why you wait for it? कि हाँ कभी आएगा हमें वो कोई आएगा स्वर्ग से कोई देवता आएगा हमारा ये कंप्लीट हो जाएगा. No, we don't want to get into that. Don't do it. Don't waste your time. So online, offline, I think that's bound to be remaining. अब आपका न्यू नॉर्मल हो गया है. ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग जिसे बोलते हैं कि हमारे यहाँ जैसे DSB में हो रहा है, हमने स्टूडेंट्स को बुलाया है. We are taking classes. जो लोग voluntarily, जिनके पेरेंट्स ने उन्होंने एग्री किया, they are coming to the institute with all precautions we are taking, sanitizations, distancing, etc., whatever. Those who are not coming, they are online. So we got a system now, both online, offline. This is happening. But you say नहीं नहीं हम नहीं करेंगे, वो नहीं करेंगे, ये बेकार है, तो सब कुछ बेकार है या सब कुछ अच्छा है? Be realistic. World does not move the way you want world to move. You have to be flexible and work according to what the situation allows you to work, function. You have to do your best in the context in which you are, rather than कि you wait for opportunity कि जब आ जाएगी, कोई आएगा ऊपर से परी आएगी मेरी गोदी में, वो सारी opportunity डालेगी, अच्छी अच्छी चीजें मिलेंगी, कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला. Adjust yourself. Therefore, my submission to every one of you is कि ये सब चीजें ऐसी होनी हैं, because we can't change that. Therefore, be as what you get ready and go with full force. Of course, context नया है, COVID-19 है, तो उसके लिए social distancing रखना है. We have to be safe. जैसे बोलते हैं कि जिंदगी है तो जहान है, ठीक है, वो भी सही है. तो जिंदगी को भी बनाओ, जहान को भी बनाओ. और सीधी सी बात है कि काम तो करना है, otherwise you can't do it. Therefore, you can't leave it कि education बाद में कर लेंगे, अब कुछ नहीं है. So that's what is my take is. These are some of the questions which many times quite a few students might have in mind, क्योंकि ये मेरे से पूछ रहे होते हैं बाहर भी, all over India. डॉक्टर शर्मा, आपका क्या विचार है? मैं उनको यही जवाब देता हूँ, किसके लिए इंतजार कर रहे हो? बहुत अच्छे दिन आएंगे. कब अच्छे दिन आएंगे? We do not know कब आएंगे. अब कब आने वाले हैं? We do not know. आज भी अच्छा दिन है. दिन आज भी अच्छा है. ये नया सेट किया है हमने, नॉर्मल सेट नया किया है. इज अ न्यू नॉर्मल. एंड देयरफॉर बहुत सीधी सी है, इस नॉर्मल को एक्सेप्ट करो और आगे बढ़ो. यदि आप नहीं एक्सेप्ट कर रहे, इसका मतलब ये आपकी बेवकूफ़ी है. दैट्स ऑल आई विल से. आई विल नॉट यूज एनी स्ट्रॉन्ग वर्ड, लेकिन ये कहूँगा ये अच्छी बात नहीं है. ये सिंपल फुलिशनेस है कि आप वी आर वेटिंग फॉर अपॉर्चुनिटीज टू कम टू यू एंड यू वेट एवरीथिंग विल नॉर्मलाइज. व्हाट इज बाय चांस, व्हाट इज नॉर्मलाइजेशन? वाज प्री कोविड सिचुएशन वाज नॉर्मल थिंग, जहाँ कुछ नहीं था, टेक्नोलॉजी यूज नहीं था, जहाँ पर स्मार्टफोन हम यूज नहीं कर रहे थे, जहाँ पर हम लोग ऑनलाइन टीचिंग की बात नहीं थी. आज मैं महसूस करता हूँ when I'm teaching that I think online teaching is good enough. I think very nice. We are adapting the situation of teaching. This is happening even in industry. Work from home is happening. Earlier we used to feel work from home क्या होगा. अब सबको मालूम है मेरे घर के अंदर किताबें रखी हैं. सबको मालूम है मेरे घर के अंदर जो टेबल है वो पूरी खराब पड़ी हुई है. It's all right. Everybody knows it. घर ऐसा ही होता है. It's not office. But we are still trying to better our homes. We are trying to create spaces where we can have meetings. This is for industry people. They are having a meeting on online, on Zoom. They are having it on other platforms. They are having those meetings, and they are still working and functioning, and they're doing pretty good. It's very relaxing also sometimes. Of course, you do feel कि आप वहाँ जाएं. मन में आता भी है कि हम कैंपस में जाएं. श्योर आइए, व्हाई डोंट यू कम. हमारा कैंपस तो है ही, इतना बड़ा एकड़ हमने 5 एकर्स का जमीन लेकर के बिल्डिंग बना रखा है, फैसिलिटीज हैं. श्योर टेक एडवांटेज. वी आर नॉट सेइंग, वी आर मोस्ट वेलकम, लेकिन उसके नॉर्म्स हैं. सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग का है, आपका सैनिटाइजेशन का वो होगा, एंड दैट्स पार्ट ऑफ थिंग विल बी देयर. सो दैट रिमेन्स, आई थिंक. I'm sure I'm provoking students to ask questions to myself. I'm sure the students might have certain other things. Still, I request, if still have any question, you can ask. Rest, I'm sure, Neerja.
Yeah, students, so if you have any questions, anything you can put in the chat box, anything that you need answered. And I think I'll add to what Sir was saying. I think, so this thing about flexibility and adaptability that you were saying, I keep telling these students that it is a part of our mission statement also, DSB's mission statement, that we hope that, when we take you through this 2-year journey at DSB, we essentially hope that by the end of it, you will become a person who is adaptable. Because world में challenges तो आते रहेंगे, and we make sure, we try and make sure that you inculcate that quality, imbibe that quality in you, that you adapt to situations. I haven't got any queries, so I think we'll end the session here. Sure. Thank you so much, Ratan sir. Thank you so much for taking out your precious time. I know you have a lot of commitments And thank you for addressing our students and giving them this insightful experience. Thank you, sir.
Welcome, please. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. All right. Guys, take care. Be safe.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you.